Well, fuck!
I hope you can see this because I'm doing it as hard as I can.
I hate the moon. So, do you guys remember Sci-Fi Channel?
The hell is that?
Before it changed its name to Sci-Fi? Good job, genius who decided coming up with that name. You got idiots like me making fun of you and your choice of network branding. Now, unlike a lot of people who often complain about sci-fi, I never really watched the channel when I was growing up. But I'm aware that Sci-Fi was known for showing anime content. The only reason why I didn't watch it was because I didn't grow up on satellite. I basically only had 4 channels growing up. Because back then, for me, my fix for anime was Toonami back in the day, so I don't have any nostalgia for this channel. But that being said, looking at the train wreck that I'm looking at today...
Tom Selleck Bong, Saliva Swamp with Kristen Stewart!
This, my friends, is Magical Girl Friendship Squad. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. To be completely fair to this show, let's take a step back and talk about it. Let's be frank about this. The internet has come to hate this show. I can't even go 5 minutes on YouTube without getting recommended by someone that this is the worst blight of every animation community ever. I'm gonna be honest right here, I don't like the show, but it's not as bad as everyone's making it out to be. I admit, it's not funny. I admit, I don't like it. I think it's terrible, but that's pretty much how I'm allowed to feel. Well, according to Wikipedia, it's a female-driven comedic show following 2 women in their early 20s.
Birth control. Something for the boomers.
Well, it was fun while it lasted. Goodbye, everybody! It's a female-driven comedic series following 2 women in their early 20s who are trying to save the world with a magical red panda and try to make rent. I have nothing against the premise of the series. There's no such thing as a bad concept in my mind. It's how it's executed that you need to consider when talking about a product.
What's happening?
The butt is sucking us in!
That was truly cringeworthy.
So I think it's obvious that I think this show's execution is terrible! While I think the show is bad, it's not overly offensive bad. I have seen worse. Much worse. At least this thing is a new IP that isn't sucking up the popularity of a previously established franchise. And has to stand on its own merits, not based on popularity or hateum of another series.
These animations kind of suck. They look really good here, and they put a lot of work into them, and they get more interesting as the Pokemon evolve. The developers have actually foreshadowed some really interesting...
That I can applaud. And there are positives. There were some jokes that got a chuckle out of me.
I have an idea that should reap very powerful results. Ooh, vegan muffins.
I was young, perhaps a bit insecure.
Not the best jokes, but still entertained me. But these are too far in between. Not helped is that the fact that the main characters aren't exactly the most likable. Meet Alex and Daisy, 2 of New York's millennials.
The millennial freeloaders of Toby.
I think what it is that I don't really care for how we're introduced to our main characters. Here, let me show you the first scene of the first episode.
Dude, you're blocking the stairs.
Welcome to Brooklyn, buddy.
Tourists.
So, the first thing we see from our heroes is that they're assholes. Way to play up the stereotype of New Yorkers not giving a shit.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm walking here. Hey, I'm walking here. Hey, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Hey, I'm walking here.
I mean, there's a real art in making an unlikable protagonist. And these 2 are kind of giving me flashbacks to Yik's Alex.
Hey, careful with that word. That is our word.
As they come off as douchey millennials who are stoked for getting magic powers but complain they have to save the universe.
Guardians, it is now your duty to protect the entire universe.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You didn't say anything about duty. Duty.
We can't protect the universe. We can barely take care of ourselves.
I used a W2 as a pad last week.
That really makes me want to like these 2 characters. I just love spoiled brats! Now, I'm not saying these characters are flat, because when I watched the 3rd episode, Daisy here, who I like to call Red, actually gets a little development with her parents who are shown to be, well, terrible. Apparently they're part of a cult where you have to be miserable. I wonder if they watch this show on a daily basis to accomplish that. It adds some depth to the character, but that being said...
I I have foot pics and forged celebrity paraphernalia to sell.
Forged?
Who's to say these aren't Ariana's band-aids? Who among us can claim Kylie did not get a stress-induced nosebleed on these tissues after hearing the new Kanye?
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Still doesn't make me like her. The only ones I actually liked in the cast were Nut the Red Panda, who's apparently a god, and the only reason why I like her is due to the fact that I like red pandas. And you really gotta go out of your way to make me hate them.
What's happening?
The butt is sucking us in!
That was truly cringeworthy.
And the other one is the silver-haired bad guy, Corbin. I don't know what it is about white hair and turtlenecks on a bad guy, but it just works. And the guy can be generally entertaining in some episodes that I've watched. And that's mostly because he's played up as a joke of a character.
Stop! Intruder! I will get to the bottom of this! I'm just gonna have to breathe for a while first.
I mean, maybe I'm jumping the gun on this, but they don't come off as the typical anime protagonists. Which, let's be honest, one look at the title and how the show's basic structure is set up, it's obviously a spoof of the magical girl genre of anime. Hell, we even get a reference to Cowboy Bebop in the girl's apartment. You can't tell me that this isn't inspired by anime. And hey, having protagonists that don't fit the paragon of all that is good and righteousness is actually a good idea. But again, the issue is with the execution. Both Alex and Daisy really aren't all that appealing as characters, with Alex being a bit more tolerable than Daisy. Alex at least is trying to get a new job after losing hers, unsuccessfully mind you, in order to pay for rent so she and Daisy don't get their asses thrown out onto the street. But I know, there's still a nasty aftertaste here. In order to have unlikable protagonists to work in fiction, there still needs to be something that the audience can latch onto. Perhaps there's an end goal we as the audience can relate to. Maybe the characters are actually good but have to be bad in order to survive. Which, to be fair, trying to make Rent is a goal that everyone in this economy can deal with nowadays, but it's a bit too mundane and falls flat on its face when you realize they have magical powers and can poof that kind of issue away with how the show has shown their powers to work. And it doesn't really help that the first bad guy they used to kill in a fight, who I'll point out was a rude barista turned into a monster, they kill her and use her corpse to jam up the garbage disposal in order to get out of paying rent for the month.
A what now?
That's really darker than I was expecting for this kind of show. I think it's at this point that we should take a moment and do a small comparison. And while I do make another comparison in the video later, I think it's important to talk about protagonists who don't exactly fit the role that they are actually parodying. And to that end, let's talk about Megas XLR. The main character from that show isn't exactly what you'd call an ideal protagonist. Coop is pretty much what you'd not expect. Typical giant mecha anime, the main characters tend to be very sculpted guys who sometimes pass off as women. They tend to be diligent and almost be not human with how good they are. Coop, on the other hand, is a fat, lacy slob from New Jersey.
You're our last hope at defeating the Glorft in the future.
Whoa, 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 look, Red, I'm no hero. I'm just a guy from Jersey, okay? I want to cruise around in this baby, smash stuff, maybe pick up some chicks.
Chicks dig giant robots.
Guardians, it is now your duty to protect the entire universe.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You didn't say anything about duty. Duty.
We can't protect the universe. We can barely take care of ourselves.
I used a W-2 as a pad last week.
And most of the time, the reason why things get out of control in the show is because he's an idiot.
Hey, trust me. It's just a tiny jump start. What could it hurt? Great. That ought to do it.
While both aren't actually all that ideal protagonists, they both have positive qualities to them. The difference is that Coop has more positive aspects of himself than these two. Like, yeah, he destroys Jersey all the time, but it's not on purpose. He does it to actually help the town and make sure people don't die. We can see beneath all that flab, there's a real kind person there. One who has actual skills, since he did manage to rebuild Megas XLR and is constantly doing what he can to improve Megas. Sure, it's for superficial reasons, but the guy is just an average dude, and while at times he does need to be dragged away in order to do things, most of the time he's willing to be an active protagonist.
Listen, chump. I was just doing my own thing when some robot-riding circus freaks jumped me. And then you had to show up and start bashing my town. And for some reason, everyone keeps calling me the bad guy. I may not be the best guy, but I sure ain't no bad guy.
Now, you can obviously disagree with me on this. If you find Daisy and Alex to be good characters, don't let me take that away from you. And what I'm saying is in fact but merely my perspective and opinion. I feel that in order to have an unideal protagonist, you still need to have something of redeeming qualities for them for your audience to latch onto.
You slimy green sucker!
And as I said, Daisy and Alex do have some of them, but for me it wasn't enough. Coop, on the other hand, while he's extremely blatant, loudmouth, thoughtlessness, foolhardy and blind to all his actions that usually result in consequences, those traits are offset by his positive qualities as well. He has good skills, he's not malicious towards other people, he doesn't want bad guys to destroy the world, he's able to think on his feet in more creative manners, he's helped people who have actually wronged him in the past. He's determined to fight even when the odds are against him.
Look at them all. These odds are awful.
You're right. It is kind of unfair. Now, it's fair.
He's not really bothered by his weight.
It's complicated.
And he's willing to go the extra mile for his friends. Now I'm going to point out a big weakness in my argument, and that's because I'm more familiar with Coop than Daisy and Alex. Not only does Coop have a lot more time, having considering the 2 seasons under his massive belt, but I obviously have a bias towards him because I genuinely think Megas XLR is a better show. This could change, mind you, but as it stands right now, I don't see Daisy and Alex as good characters. Besides, Megas XLR has a much better animation quality to it, if you ask me. And knows how to utilize parody.
I feel good enough to kill 1,000 planets. Guess where I'm going to start?
I don't know. Your mom's house?
What also doesn't help is the jokes that it has. Again, I'll admit that there were a few interesting jokes here and there that got a slight chuckle out of me, especially the ones with Corbin, mainly because he's a punching bag. But the humor in the show has a number of problems. For example, the oversaturation of the jokes. And what I mean by that is that there are way too many jokes flung at you at once.
Whoa, Pokemon Go has gotten really fucking good.
How do you do, fellow kids?
And there are way too many types as well. You'll get gross out humor, referential humor, parody humor, internet humor, pop culture humor, and of course, internet humor.
But we need more outrage. Tammy, give me an article on how reverse racism is the real racism. Brad, make a list of actors who've publicly supported Woody Allen and fantasy cast them in a Harry Potter reboot. And Patty, what can we blame millennials for killing?
Pure One import?
I'm not one to dictate what someone should and shouldn't do, especially when it comes to a creative work, but typically when it comes to humor, the worst thing you can do is date it.
Simpletons.
Yes, I'm aware I'm coming off as one of the biggest hypocrites, but I'm not using God knows how many funds and talents of animators to make this on my YouTube channel. I'm just one guy making a cheap little YouTube video, so the rules are a little different. This is a produced show. While not that greatly animated, it still requires hundreds of hours to create. I don't have a problem with referencing stuff like things in your own genre. Hell, one of my favorite time wasters is to watch videos of other anime making JoJo references. Hey. But here's an example of the referential humor as well. Like, the reason these two get chosen by Nut is simply because they make a reference to John Wick.
I watched John Wick 2 last night, and I'm fired up. Ha! Kick, 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 Chun-Li!
Oh, I love that movie! Daisy, look. I once killed 3 men in a bar. With an insult. You come after my dog, I'll kill you.
You know, a movie that came out last year. I like Keanu Reeves as much as any other sane person does, but not only is the movie a year old at this point, but it dates the show so much.
Hi, would you watch my laptop for a second?
Oh yeah, I got you.
Remember I talked about there were too many jokes? That's because the jokes come way too fast and most of them just didn't land for me. Both Alex and Daisy are pretty much walking joke machines, who, unless the situation really gets bad, don't take anything seriously.
No, the real point is, I don't give a damn.
If the characters don't care, why the hell should I? Hell, not even the action scenes are good. They're clunky as all hell and can be just as infuriating. And frankly, now that I have talked about animation, it's as janky as all hell. And I hope the scenes I'm showing are explaining that, because I feel like I'm watching something from Newgrounds! Except that'd be an insult to Newgrounds because this is on a major network with funding behind it. Look, this is the type of show that is a nitpicker's paradise, but since I got strong-armed by the Moonanites to do this review with money in my pocket,
we are bored.
Yeah, I'm bored.
Let's talk about storytelling and something that's related to this. A story that features a not-so-ideal protagonist in a story that spoofs the genre it's based upon and doesn't make my eyes bleed from watching it. Let's take a close look as to why Saitama works where these two fail as characters. It's because Saitama has positive traits that people can look into. Not only is Saitama willing to put himself on the line in his first fight, he goes against his terrible thoughts of abandoning the kid.
He has no idea what he's done. What do I do? I could still help, but... This kid's kinda weird looking. It's none of my business, really.
He doesn't have to be dragged around to help someone, and he wanted to be a hero.
You know what? When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a hero. Not some damn businessman, but a superhero who could send rotten villains like you flying with one punch.
These are admirable traits and instantly make the hero likable, even if he does come off as a bit douchey at the beginning. Not to mention, Saitama doesn't constantly spout off continual references. He only makes one.
Man, it just came to me! You look just like a villain from this kid's cartoon I used to watch!
And he gets punished for it. Not to mention the animation and art actually looks good.
Your life ends now!
Look, maybe it's unfair to compare a high-end anime to a Western cartoon, and as I said, I don't think that this show is the worst thing I've ever seen. Trust me, I've seen worse. But to me, the comedy, the characters, the animation, it all seems like a step back from how Western animation has been progressing. Hell, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has some stilted animation in it as well, but at the same time, it's an order to use to save money to get more important action scenes, which, hot damn, look at this! Whoever is saying that Western animation doesn't look good, get off your asses and watch this show! Wait, what was I talking about? Oh, right, Magical Girl Friendship Squad. To me, it's shallow, not funny, and I'm glad at the very least what I got out of this was some extra scratch in my pocket. So I guess the only thing left to do is this.
I hope you can see this because I'm doing it as hard as I can.